Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. We begin our service every Sunday with an ancient sound instrument, the Himalayan singing bowl. The sound waves and vibrations of the bowl are thought to reduce stress and induce relaxation, possibly by interacting with both our brain waves and our energy fields. So, as I ring the bowl this morning, let's take a deep breath. It's been kind of a stressful morning already. Take a deep breath and allow the sound to resonate around and through you. Relax and just be. And I'm going to see if I can get the bowl to sing this morning. Thank you, Michael. That was beautiful. Good morning and welcome, as usual, to our members, friends, and visitors, and those of you joining this morning on Zoom, to the Unitarian Universalists of the Chester River. We are an intentional community gathered around our mission to support each other's individual spiritual journeys and to inspire, inform, and support all who seek a more equal and just community. And we're pleased that you are all here with us this morning. And might I just say, for those of you joining us on Zoom, you are visible to the congregation, and we love to see your faces. However, if you would prefer not to be seen, you may turn off your video, or if you would like to be seen and welcomed by us, please turn on your video. I'm Nancy Holland, your service leader this morning, serving with Reverend Catherine. And as always, we have Michael at the piano. Deb is from our tech team today in the back. Darlene and our other volunteers, as listed in your order of service, who make every Sunday possible, and we are so grateful for your participation. I have quite a slew of announcements this morning. All right, Catherine, you might as well go first. Whoa.
This is the last time you'll see me up here. There we go. So, before today, we hit 93% of our goal. After today, Before today, we had 93% of our goal. After today, we are at 96%. We had a little angel donor here that brought us up to 96. Very, very close, y'all, for being a kind of crazy economic year and for asking people to increase their pledge. So the shortfall, there are places where that can come: cutting the budget, cutting our expenses, taking it out of the contribution that we were going to make to the Capital Reserve Fund, or other things. So the board will make recommendations and come back to the congregation with the final budget. So there we are. And thank you, everybody, for your contributions. It was a good year.
And I thank the Stewardship Committee, Catherine, Joy, and Jackie for their hard work and good efforts on this campaign. All right, as always, coffee hosts and greeters and potluck hosts are welcome. Reminder that the solstice and potluck will be at Eileen and Jones. Thank you very much. This coming Friday, March 20th at 5:30 for the solstice. Equinox, right, sorry. Yes, okay. And then also the annual auction, okay, coming up on Saturday, March 21st at 6 p.m. The doors open. Jane says that we have 25 wonderful live auction items, adventures, opportunities, trips, that will be a lot of fun. And we have over 100 silent auction items. So there is one copy of the bulletin, the auction program listing in the lobby on the whiteboard, but it's available on the website. So please look and be sure you know what you want to bid on. We also have a unique donation in the lobby. We have 10 jars, pint jars of honey, natural honey made from bees at the Lucky Pick Farm in Kingstown. You can buy one today for $15, or they will be available at the auction also. And even if you buy it today, the money goes to the auction. And if you're available to help set up on Friday morning, please just show up. And also if you can bring a sweet or a savory nibbly or some wine, there's a sign-up sheet also on the whiteboard in the lobby. And we also need proxy bidders for people who can't attend. So if you're willing to bid for someone who is absent, contact Jane Hardy. And the last announcement is right after the service, before coffee break. There'll be a short presentation by the Legacy Committee about the legacy funds and the procedure for requesting to use those funds. So finally, we have moving forward on that, and so it'll be a brief presentation, so please stay. And now, okay, chalice lighting. Please now join me as we light the chalice. The words are in your insert. To the world, I have arrived. We are the music. Toddlers hearing our first sway in response, as natural as the beat of our hearts. We are the music. The drone of the bass notes of the church organ, a vibration in our chests. Tense muscles relax, the breath deepens. We are the music. As we push the air from our bellies out through the chest and throat, our changing expressions shape the sound. We are the music. As we sing together, voices blend to create a harmony, each voice enriched by its connection to the next. We are the music. And now please rise in body or spirit as we sing hymn 346. I think it's a little misprint in the, so it's 346 in the gray hymnal. Come sing a song with me, verses 1 and 2. With me, come sing a song with me, a song with me that I might your mind, and I'll bring you home. Hope is hard to find, and I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. Come dream a dream with me, come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you hope when hope is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love and a rose in the winter time. So when Dick and I first moved into Heron Point, we met our neighbors across the sidewalk and realized quickly that the husband was in a pretty advanced state of dementia. He was a whistler, he would whistle. He had played a musical instrument at one time in his life, but by the time we met Ed, he spoke very little. And he was wobbly on his feet, and at times he fell. He was fairly advanced. And we found out that another neighbor's husband had even more severe dementia. We never met him as he was already living in the skilled nursing and memory care unit wing. But about a month after we moved in, Philip and his alligator band gave a concert at Heron Point. And I was amazed when both Ed and Tom, this other fellow, got up out of their chairs and started dancing and singing. They knew the words to every song. You could see them up there singing along and moving and dancing and steady on their feet. That was my first-hand experience with the power of healing and music. And since then, I've learned that there's a lot in the literature about this. Music is used with people with Parkinson's disease and dementia, and it works in a different part of the brain. And I've read in a research study at NIH that that music evokes memories. I think we've all had that experience. You hear a song and it takes you right back to a period in your life or an event in your life. And it's been shown that music evokes memories like that that are more detailed, more emotional, and more vivid than just about any other stimulus, whether it's a visual, like even a picture, or food, or a television, anything like that. Music is the mover. So today we're going to learn more about the healing power of music later on from Reverend Catherine, but I find it amazing. And now a meditation from Reverend Catherine, and then our choir, our reduced choir today, will sing some music that goes with the meditation, and then after that we'll invite the congregation to join us.
Friends, let's take a breath together. Let's find a posture where we're comfortable in our seat, our spines are generally upright. We can let our eyes drift closed or stay open. And as we find a steady rhythm of our breathing, I invite us to our chalice lighting. We are the music. As Nancy opened in the healing power and how people can still live being, we are the music throughout all our stages of life. What song is calling to you in this moment? In this time? We are the music. Our choir is going to offer a song that ties back to our very first service of this congregational year. I spoke of Julian of Norwich, who is very, very famous for the phrase, "All shall be well." And when people hear this and out in context, there can be some resistance because it doesn't feel like all shall be well. And when we sing it in the music, when Julian writes of this, she also writes it in the context of all shall be well because there's compassion. All shall be well because there is life. All shall be well because there is love. Not an objective outcome. All shall be well because there's compassion. And so as our choir comes and joins us up front and leads us in singing this very beautiful song, they will perform it for us, as Nancy mentioned a few times. And we can see our music up there from our Side with Love hymnal. They'll sing it a few times for us, and then they'll invite us to join them. I invite you to find in your heart and in your soul the song for you that holds for you the compassion that will help all be well.
And now we will take an offering for the mission of this church, for its programs, outreach into the community. For we are now the keepers of the flame.
This is one of the mentions by two congregations.
Thank you for your gifts to the ministries of this congregation. And I'll offer a reading to start us called Let the Artists Win. I vote we let the artists win. The ones covered in paint from their last attempt to smuggle across the beauty of a bowl of fruit. The 14-year-old rapper learning to spit, throwing life's chaos on the rhythm of the wheel, uncovering the shapes that live over the next break. I say we let the food bank volunteers win. The ones always carrying around their agenda for the meeting, the waging campaigns to stock the shelves with bread. I would like to see the nurses extend their string of victories from the hospital bed to the nation's boardrooms until we care for each other as if death were inevitable and mercy is the only thing that makes the rounds bearable. I say we let the kindergarten teachers win as they raise up small edifices for beauty words and that we will never be able to capture or reveal. And maybe let that helpless drunkard sometimes win when she cries into her beer and declares it's all too much. We've all been there too. I will let the grandmothers win when they tell the old stories that hold me in their keeping. And the children yelling, "Play, play!" The ones who have already cost us so much of our final productivity, and the only tyrants who can command our true attention to the wise. I want them to win too, again and again, without pity. And then when the men with guns come, we can say, "I'm sorry." But whether you win or lose, it's never really been my game, sir. I have lost and lost again 1,000 wars of the heart to those whom I have waved the white flag. I have surrendered the whole and the holy of my life to those who will never, never let me go. So ends the reading. Music is one of the most powerful and transformative forces available to us. It's the universal way we express our full humanity. We are the music. We tell our stories, hold nuance, transcend boundaries and culture. The experience and making of music impacts us intellectually, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. This is a quote from Maria Rosario when she was the National Endowment Chair of the Arts. The healing power of music is something we know through all our ways of knowing. And one of the beautiful things in sermons is we get to talk about all the ways we know something, right? So often we live in our intellect or we live in our emotions, but we don't always talk about all the ways we know things. And that's true too. We know it in our bodies, in our experience, in our history, and through science. We know music through our bodies when we experience that transformative power of healing music. Single notes that resonate, notes clustered into chords with harmonics that make something greater than each other together. The patterns that resonate or discordant, and we feel these vibrations. We feel our body responding. The experience may have been expected or something you didn't know you needed. Maybe there was grief and sadness, so you chose to listen or play that song that you know will make you cry. Tears are healing. Maybe it's the song that rouses or increases the energy flow in our bodies, whatever the genre. Our bodies listen to the music. Muscles tense and relax. We sway. The full experience of music is so much more than our ears. It is one of the reasons I love listening to music with children. Watch them dance. They're not self-conscious. And it's beautiful. And in just that moment, sometimes maybe I get to give myself permission to. And that's a skill. We can give ourselves that permission to listen to the music, to feel the music, to feel that joy in that moment, that fully. We were taught not to do that. We are the music. Maybe it's the song that surprises you and you feel your body respond. We notice either expectation or whatever that next note should be, right? I have woke up with my allergies, so here's where I was going to do the first few notes of do, re, mi, and you were going to want to go to the next note, but I can't do that for you today. Michael, would you be willing to? Could you do do, re, mi? You all know the next note, right? Right? That's that expectation. The music told you where to go. You know that, and that you all knew that in connection. We had a connective moment. Music is an invitation into that flow, into community. Our congregation has one of the best pianos on the Eastern Shore, and it has been used to bring the gift of music into the full humanity of our larger community. It is not an accident how many people ask to use our building and our piano to practice, to prepare for their major performances. It is a gift of music this congregation brings to Chestertown. It is a powerful art form. And our reading today called us to let the artist win. I hear that as a call of living in the wisdom of the arts and living our full humanity. Some of the stanzas probably had verses that you may not resonate with, and that's okay. That's how we build multicultural community, and we begin to connect with experiences that are not our own. Empathy is recognizing someone else's story and lived experience is valid. It's not ours, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be. But I recognize you, I see you, and I hear your story. And music helps us do that. May the music in our lives call us away from violence or destruction and give us ways to process and experience harmful experiences. It is often, that is one of the common themes I hear in rap and R&B and soul and in the music that arrives from the Black experience in America. May music touch our soul and guide us towards those to whom we have surrendered our lives. Doing my social justice work is not possible unless I know who I am, independent of anyone else. I have to know who I am. And I have to know whose I am. And when I know that, I can do what I need to do. And that is what allowed me to go to Minnesota and will allow me to stand up at No Kings and allows me to go to other events that I do. I have to know who I am. I have to know whose I am. And then the rest will fall into place. And I celebrate those in music. So may the music always guide us toward living our values. So pivoting to the second frame today, the healing power of music is something we know from experience and history. From lullabies we sing to our babies to soothe them, into the beautiful choir music we experience. Thank you, choir. And music that help us tap into something intangible, invisible, and present. The best music essentially is there to provide you something to face the world with. Bruce Springsteen. And I believe this is true. Our ancestors knew it, and we see the evidence of that in the world's religions. Today, I hear this in both social justice movements and as well. The music in the 1960s civil rights movement was powerful, galvanizing, and pervasive. We shall overcome. A change is going to come. People get ready, and more. The changes they were talking about had not happened before. Those were bold statements. And that music envisioned and helped people actually envision the change they were trying to make. It invites story in that way that communicates very deeply into our brain, maybe making that possibility of change seem a little more possible. And it's so powerful in volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous times. And does that feel like anything that we've been living with recently? Right? Music invites uncontrollable joy and mobilizes people and sets an expectation of change. That music and story, when they combine, access our meaning-making, transformation, and our very humanity. Current movements are grounding in music, and they include two areas called the Rapid Response Choir, which some of us have connections with, and the Singing Resistance, which are creating music for our current social justice responses. I have hope that in years to come, every one of these people or ours will be a song that will be on a list for the musical response to these times. Hold on, and as we practiced a few messages ago, forget your perfect offering. They're all emerging as cultural songs. Other songs are being sung to invite ICE agents to put down their weapons and join us in community. And we have to be able to sing those with a genuine invitation. That is spiritual work, and it is important. A mobilization is coming from Maryland. We need to be taking our time to ground ourselves in who we are and whose we are and how we choose to respond to this moment. And may it include the healing power of music. Religious traditions around the world also know this. A few weeks ago, I talked about SNAPs: soothe, notice, accept, stay present, and discharge safely. Who just felt a surge of energy in their body when I mentioned that an ice surge is coming to Maryland? Right? That is something to respond to. That is something to feel that energy. Soothe ourselves. We talked about humming, swaying, singing. Notice that it happened. We harm other people when we have those energy surges and we don't notice it. Accept what we cannot change, staying present in this moment, and as we work through it, then how do we want to safely discharge? This is where I dance. But everyone finds their way. Those were offered to us by author and social worker Resma Menakem as a way to stay present in trauma. The previous service is available on our YouTube. In music and arts, we connect deeply to that soothe step and the discharge step. It happens here with the beautiful music selections that Michael and our guest musicians offer us every Sunday. It makes this time an opportunity to gather and soothe, to re-energize for the work of the world, which will be waiting. I promise it will be waiting when we're done at the end of this hour. It's not something only we Unitarian Universalists know. The music in evangelical churches and services I've attended has been wonderful and engaging and helped build connection, regardless of the doctrine. The wisdom of music or worship transcend religious tradition. The Quran is written to be recited. It's a lyrical poetry, the sung chant that is beautiful, even if I don't understand the words. The call to prayer is sung in Muslim communities and resonates with people wherever they are and whatever they're doing. Our Jewish siblings have a cantor as a primary religious leader who sings their religious texts and prayers and holds sacred roles in services. There's an abundance of beautiful music in the Hebrew that speak to the spirit and touch the soul, and several rituals have very specific musical elements. Rosh Hashanah is one of the high holy days for the Jewish people, and blowing of and hearing the shofar, which is a specific trumpet, is one of the sacred acts associated with that day. It is a trumpet made from the horn of a kosher animal. For the first service of this congregational year, we just sung of Julian of Norwich. We also spoke of Hildegard, who was one of the early female leaders in the church in her monastery, and how transcendent her music was. The music she created was deep and powerful and amazing, and it is still available to us today. And finally, there are many traditions with roots in Hinduism. There is and some of the yoga traditions that have an om. It is sometimes taught as the first sound and the last. And while my son was very confused when he saw me type OM and that it was 3 syllables, that is how it's usually done in the chanting sense, is Om. Now that was a short one, but the 3 syllables start with Brahma, transition through Vishnu, and represent Shiva. It is the beginning and the end. In my yoga teacher training, we learned to call all our postures in Sanskrit and to honor the culture that created the practice we were studying. Some of our most transformative meditations happened in our classes while we chanted. So now I have an invitation for you. Will you Om with me? I invite you to note, so I invite us into that meditative posture. I'm going to step back from the mic because this could get very loud for the people on our Zoom. I invite you to notice, how did that feel? In your chest, in your belly, in vibrations in your face. Not what did you think about it. We're connecting the sound and the body. There's part of a Unitarian Universalist song in our heritage that also lends itself to this type of singing. It's the drone line in our meditation on breathing. And I have to admit, when I first started singing that song, I always went for the melody and sometimes would push to reach the descant because they're fun. But there are days that I really just need that drone line. I need to just be able to sit there and sing, breathe in, breathe out. And when I'm not in service, I'm not reaching for the melody. I'm not reaching for the descant line. I'm reaching for that drone line to ground. When that's what I need, when I need to have that moment, when I have to have that connection to help me center in the middle of something that's happening. Both of these are powerful and potentially healing musical connections. Music is sacred and it invites transformation. The healing power of music is also something we know from science. There was a powerful 2-day workshop known as Music as Medicine, Science and Clinical Practice. And true to its name, the speakers and musicians didn't talk about music and medicine or music or medicine, but acknowledged and sought to learn more about music as medicine. Some of the potential which Nancy named in her sharing today for how she witnessed that music provides an option, a movement, and a connection and opportunity that no medicine had been able to provide. How it affects the body. Music for pain control, for fear management, to help people get through procedures when they're necessary, and sometimes they can be hard. How music can mediate healing. Music impacts on health as both multi-directional flow through interconnected domains of biology, behavior, the social, the environment, in powerful ways to treat the whole person. And sometimes this means less drugs are needed. Sometimes it's moving beyond the absence of disease towards more health and increasing our health span. Music was also described by a biomedical engineer, Dr. Tromberg, as the mastery of instruments that generate and receive powerful and visible forms of energy, a stream of waves and patterns or signals oscillating over a wide range of frequencies. Beloveds, the body is a beautiful transducer that can harmonize these energy signals from pure healing tone of a 440 hertz A, middle A, to the fear-inducing discordance in horror movies. When people ohm, we tend to hit about 410 to 440 hertz when we do that. I find that fascinating. Much of science of music involves how those frequencies impact the body. Some of that is the vibratory elements we felt earlier. Other parts are the neuropathways which light up when we both experience music or when we create music, and they're not the same. There are a lot of questions. Which pathways are involved? How do we dose it? What changes with the impacts? And there is some amazing research to tell us much of the same things that our ancient mystics offered from their other ways of knowing. And there are many mysteries still out there. So in conclusion, the healing power of music is grounded in embodied experience, history, and science as an expression of our full humanity. And it is transformative, invisible energy that gives us something to hold on to as we face any day, every day. And with that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join our voices in singing hymn 108, My Life Goes On in Endless Song.
Extinguish the chalice, the words are in your order of service. By our presence here with one another, so that we shall return to our several duties with fresh courage and with eagerness and with rejoicing.